After Babel, the sacred space gets localized again. Humanity is dispersed. They're trying to, again, create a space for God, and God says, I will not be tamed. This is not what we're doing here. You don't make the rules of engagement. I do. This is not what I asked you to do, so we're not doing this. Got to learn the lesson. After the Babel incident, God turns around and calls Abraham. Where does he appear to Abraham and patriarchs? Starts in Genesis 12. Abram passed through the land of the place at Shechem to the oak of Moreh. In Hebrew, that's the oak of the teacher. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land, and the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring, I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. He appears to him at a tree. This is the beginning of a theme or a motif in Scripture. Certain trees in certain places became sacred sites, sacred space. And to an Israelite, that made sense because, well, the roots of the tree go all the way down to the underworld, and the top of the tree, symbolizes connection with God. So God, appears at trees, and trees become important. You bury your dead under certain trees. Why would you do that? Because you want them to be with the Lord. That's where God is. That's where God's been appearing to the patriarchs for centuries. Of course we would bury our dead there. And you have to get with the sort of the conceptual thinking. Genesis 18, the Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre this time. Again, that's actually another oasis, so you actually have a garden thing going on there too. As he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day, again, rest yourselves under the tree. Genesis 21, Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and called there in the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. Why would you plant a tree and call on the Lord? It was a response in Genesis 21. God had appeared at Beersheba. So what does Abraham do? He plants a tree. This is now the sanctuary. Trees mark sanctuary spots. They mark sacred space. To get a little maybe less abstract or maybe more abstract, what's in the holy place that corresponds to this? Think of the tabernacle.
The ornaments that were off the...
Yeah, the menorah, or the golden, the lampstand. It's fashioned in the shape of a tree. That's deliberate. There are other things about the tabernacle decorations that are supposed to make you think about Eden, especially the temple. The temple, the carvings of the temple, it's a forest, it's a jungle. It's got lions and, all these animals, exotic, animals in there, exotic plants. It's a garden, but it's on Mount Zion. And again, you've got these different pieces of furniture that take the mind. The idea was to take the mind back to Eden, but also to take the mind back to certain concepts. This is now the place where God meets us. You can even we could even talk about the vine and the branches here in the New Testament. I mean, the imagery has a certain appeal because it harkens back to certain things in the Old Testament that are associated with divine presence, divine encounter. And once you get there, your mind goes to the covenants. This is where God promised us things. I mean, this is all deliberate. It's all designed to make you think a certain set of thoughts, just with word pictures. Joshua 24. And we mentioned the tabernacle a little bit. We're skipping around here a little bit. Here we have Joshua makes a covenant with the people that day and put in place statutes and rules for them at Shechem. Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God. He took a large stone and set it up under the terebinth. It's another kind of tree. That was by the sanctuary of the Lord. Wow! Who would have thought that there would be a tree by the sanctuary? Well, the answer is everybody would have thought that. That's what you do. You mark these places in these ways because that takes the mind back to the history of appearances that God made with not only the patriarchs, but all the way back to Eden. It's dot connecting. Judges 6. The angel of the Lord comes and meets Gideon at the terebinth at Ophrah. Again, it's another sacred site marked by a tree. He has a conversation with Gideon. Sinai. Let's talk about Sinai a little bit. Here we get mountains. But of course, where does God initially meet Moses? Burning bush. Okay, bush, another plant, a little tree, but it's a tree.